By the early 1600s, the German-speaking lands were splintered, politically fragmented, religiously divided, and constantly on the edge of war. Then in 1618, the fuse was lit. It began with a simple act of defiance. Protestant nobles in Prague threw two Catholic envoys out a window. What followed was the 30 Years' War, and it would become one of the deadliest conflicts in European history. This wasn't just a war between Catholics and Protestants. It became a free-for-all, pulling in powers from across Europe: Sweden, France, Spain, and others, all using Germany as their battleground. Towns were burned, crops destroyed, millions starved or died from disease. By the time peace finally came in 1648, the German lands had lost a third of their population. Cities were in ruins, and unity was further away than ever. But amid the devastation, a new power began to rise: Prussia. It was small, cold, and militarized, but ruthlessly efficient. Under the rule of Frederick the Great in the 1700s, Prussia transformed itself into a disciplined military state. It fought off stronger neighbors, expanded its territory, and began to challenge Austria for dominance among the German states. While Prussia built its army, German thinkers built a cultural empire. This was the age of Goethe, Beethoven, Kant, and Hegel. Germany wasn't united on a map, but in philosophy, music, and science, it led the world. By the 1800s, nationalism was sweeping across Europe. People no longer just saw themselves as Bavarians or Saxons. They began to think of themselves as Germans. But unifying over 300 independent states would take more than words. It would take war, and one man knew how to use it. Otto von Bismarck, the iron-willed Chancellor of Prussia, had a vision: a single German nation, united under Prussian leadership. But he didn't campaign for it. He calculated, manipulated, and fought. First, he provoked a war with Denmark in 1864 to rally German support. Then, in 1866, he turned on Austria, defeating it and pushing it out of German affairs. Finally, in 1870, he tricked France into declaring war, a war Prussia won decisively. In 1871, inside the glittering palace of Versailles, the German princes crowned King Wilhelm I of Prussia as Emperor of a unified Germany. The humiliation of the French would not be forgotten. But for Germans, it was a moment of triumph. The new German Empire was powerful, industrial, and ambitious. It raced to catch up with Britain, building factories, railways, and a navy. German science and engineering boomed. Cities like Berlin and Hamburg became symbols of progress. But beneath this strength, old rivalries simmered. The balance of power in Europe was shifting. Alliances formed. Armies grew. And in 1914, when an archduke was shot in Sarajevo, Germany was pulled into a global war it thought would be quick and victorious. It wasn't.